Hi, guys. Hey, it's me, Kurt Ranowski, Yankee T News, here with Jason. Hello, everybody. We're going
Hello,
to do
everybody.
our show again.
We're going
Our
live on Facebook
special.
as
We
well.
have to give this show a special name. I'm not sure what it is yet.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live once again with Jason Douglas here, Common Sense News and Entertainment, on April 7th, 2026. A beautiful Tuesday night. A little bit of mourning after UConn's loss last night to the Michigan Wolverines. I'm here with Kurt Ranowski, Yankee T News once again.
Mm-hmm.
And the phone is on a cord tonight because it's a little power, so here it is. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, can we get started and talk about UConn real quick on a lighter note?
You want to start there first?
Yeah, why not? It's just,
All right.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because it sucks.
If
It's kind
that's
of a
what you
downer.
want to do, if you want to talk about UConn, I'm going to give you a number. Are you ready for the number?
I'm ready for the number.
31%.
What is their shooting percentage?
That's right.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Bad shooting percentage.
Yeah, Michigan shot pretty poorly as well. So here's the thing. Usually I'm a very critical sports fan, and I'm always got something to criticize for. But last night, I think the UConn men gave it really. In order to beat Michigan, is an incredibly well-built team. I mean, just all from transfers from other schools. Like they basically cherry-picked all the best players, brought them into Michigan. It was really, really difficult. And I think the UConn men, honestly, they deserve a tip of the cap. They would have had to play an absolutely perfect game to beat Michigan, and they did nearly play a perfect game.
All they needed was a higher shooting percentage.
But 1 for 14 from three-point land in the second half definitely hurt.
Mm-hmm.
If they could have made 1 or 2 more shots, that would have been enough to put them over the top.
Yeah, but, and in the second half, the shooting percentage went down.
But you give me a number. I'm going to give you a 2-word phrase: Michigan defense. Okay, so that's part of the reason why they missed all those shots. They were very, very difficult on defense.
I mean, if you did a lineup, we're going to find out that the Michigan team was just bigger.
Well, they were a lot bigger.
Yes,
and it's funny because you watch UConn play other teams during the season. We're a lot bigger. UConn's a big team, so Michigan. Look at this guy Johnson was a giant. I mean, he looked like the Jolly Green Giant with peach skin. I mean, just
yeah. Well, we later learned that the Michigan coach's philosophy is, quote, "Go big."
Despite their incredible juggernaut team that they were, UConn really hung in there, and even with only 40 seconds left in the game, it seemed like they still had a shot at it. And it really wasn't until the last 40 seconds of the game where my shoulders finally sank, and I went, "Ugh, we're gonna lose this one now." So, I really thought they played a pretty darn good game. Yeah, it would have been nicer if they made a few more shots, especially in the second half. But again, the Michigan defense has something to do with that. So anyway, hats off to UConn. They didn't quite make it. There's, by the way, just to give you a little perspective, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They had won 6 final games in a row. UConn men had never lost a final game before until last night. 6-0. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Not many can have that record.
And not only that, but that loss last night broke what I believe was a 17-game winning streak for the UConn men in a Sweet 16 game or later in the NCAA tournament, which is unbelievable because you're playing the very best teams at that point, or the hottest or the best team. So that's pretty impressive.
Well, the thing is that for the longest time, Duke has been the premier team. And at some point, the dynasty passes to someone else, and you kind of think, well, look at the Huskies' record, but no, they still haven't gotten the credit that they're due.
Not yet.
I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, I was able to stomach it because I thought they played valiantly. Really, again, they didn't shoot well in the second half, but again, Michigan defense was incredibly difficult. So,
okay, now I have to check facts on this next one, but I'm pretty sure that there is one group that congratulated the Huskies on their remarkable journey, and one group that did not.
Okay, what's the group that did not? Give me the bad guys first.
The Democrats.
Okay, and who? Of course, the Republicans.
The Republicans put up I think it was an Instagram post congratulating the Huskies for what they did.
Cool.
I don't know. I would think the Democrats would have, but I saw no reference or mention anywhere whatsoever.
It's one of the only things that Connecticut has sort of some national notoriety for on the positive side for. We're not really very good at anything else. Not from the point of view of the rest of the country, honestly. The rest of the country looks at Connecticut like a bunch of snooty, snobby, spoiled brats.
Connecticut?
Yeah, that's how we're looked at around the rest of the country. Yeah, rich, spoiled,
Really?
snobby.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know about
on
that.
the street. On the street, yeah. I mean, maybe not in the news, but we don't get mentioned. You know, notice if you watch like any of the national news networks, they don't say much about Connecticut really.
Yeah. All right.
They don't talk about the politics of Connecticut at all, like on Fox.
Hmm.
Really, it's just kept quiet until
Anyway,
there's a shooting like Newtown. Then we're all over the news. Unfortunately, a lot of people remember us for that around the country.
yeah.
And basketball. That's the one positive thing that we can point to with pride and say,
well,
I'm trying to beat us, man.
There's a quieter one, the Quinnipiac hockey team.
Yeah, didn't they dominate, win a couple championships in a row? Or
that's what I've been told. Who would have thunk it?
Was that Division 8 or something?
I don't know.
Division 69.23. Yeah, that's nice though.
Mm-hmm.
Quinnipiac is a school of a bunch of people that couldn't get into Yale.
Well, that's actually complimenting Quinnipiac, because I would say that Quinnipiac has been remembered more as what is called a warm body school.
Warm body school.
Yeah, if you just look at the SAT scores, colleges, at least they used to be measured in terms of how selective they are.
Mm-hmm.
So tier 1 is the most selective. Okay. Tier 2 is going to be like the wannabes. So like NYU.
Yeah.
I don't know. Colgate. Okay. Let me pick some other ones. University of Tennessee. These would be like tier 2.
Okay.
Okay. And then tier 3 is going to be some of the more competitive state universities, Ohio State, stuff like that.
Okay, UConn probably.
Okay. Tier 4 is
Morehead State.
Yeah, the run of the mill. But then tier 5,
MCC.
Warm body.
What's tier 5? What's tier 5?
Tier 5.
What would be an example of tier 5 though?
Sorry?
What would be an example of tier 5? Like Eastern Connecticut State University?
I'd have to. Well, New England College.
Okay.
If you've ever heard of them.
Yeah, I've heard of New England College.
Yeah. So that would be one example.
Okay.
Right.
Well, like community college, that's like tier 6, right?
Yeah. Community colleges would probably be in that category with very few exceptions. But anyway, now there I go sounding snobby. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, I'm a graduate of Manchester Community College.
Yeah. Well,
there's Connecticut State University.
There's the degree, and then there's what you do with the degree, right?
Correct.
So anyway,
you know what I did my thesis on?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what I did my thesis on?
What?
The anti-suffrage movement in England and in the United States in the 1920s. In other words, the women that were against the right to vote did not want it to happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know what their reasoning was?
We ain't got time.
We got enough to do. You're already making us vacuum clean and do the laundry around here. That's your job. You take out the trash. You do the voting. What the hell?
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was a matter of domestic distribution of labor in the household. It was a matter of a battle between who's going to do more.
Well, we're hearing more noise about how women voting is probably a bad idea.
I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Unless they're a landowner, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you could see,
it sounds quite sexist. I get it. I get the.
Okay, but if
both sides of it.
There's an argument to be made here, though. If you're voting on emotion, you're voting because he looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then you shouldn't be voting.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anyway. I agree. But the problem with it is how do you. I mean, do all women vote with emotion?
Probably no. But I think that we find
how do you learn that?
Were to do a survey, you're going to be surprised at the number of them who really give very little thought to the issues.
I agree.
When they're picking their candidate. So
and when you hear those things when you hear those polls about like how many people don't know that George Washington was the first president and whatnot.
as well.
Both get skewed by that, by gender too, because women don't care about, a lot of women do not think about those things and care about, not that they're not smart, they just don't prioritize those kind of things in their
I
mind.
think that is also a fair statement.
Yeah.
As the audience gets surly. Okay. So the
The audience disappears. I know. As all the women listeners log off.
yeah, the door is over there. So the and don't let it whack you on the way out. Right. So yeah, I have jotted down quite a few notes here about Iran. Oh my goodness. So
Let's hear it. Let's get to the nitty gritty.
Well, I don't know if there's a nitty gritty here. I'm just gonna prattle, then I will put up my next surprise. So communications, organization, lines of authority, resupply, military inventory, the Pahlavi address to the Artesh army, the Houthis firing a missile at Israel, Israel, UAE, and others under attack, and the weak human chain in front of the power plants. That's what I put down so far. And under communications, yeah. Just to throw it out there. So this is a case of the so there is a question about, well, is somebody really in charge? And you'll be happy to know, Jason, that I sent you the pictures of the three men who are considered now to be in charge of Iran.
I saw the headline. I briefly looked at that.
Oh, that's okay, because guess what? I just happen to have them right here.
Wow.
Okay.
This is like a mean dude.
All right. Yeah, they're all mean dudes.
He looks like a villain I just saw on this TV show that Melissa was watching a little while ago.
Okay, so the name of this guy is Mohammed. I think I got this right. Here, let me just double check here. We're going to start from one. Okay, yes. All right.
Oh.
What? There's
Another
three
guy.
of them. There's three of them.
Okay, that's number two then.
So
we're starting with this guy.
All right. So this is, his name is I misspelled it. It's Monson it's Rabia with that little hyphen there, but then it's also spelled
mean
EIA. So which is more like a Portuguese spelling, which is weird. But okay.
This guy.
That's one of them. The next one is this guy, Ahmed Vahidi. We've heard more of him in the news. Okay. And then this guy here, Mohammed Bashar Zolgadar.
Good Lord. I've heard of this guy. I've heard of Zolgadar.
You have?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe another Zolgadar. I don't know.
All right. So here they are. And so somehow there's something that's being called, it's the Iranian equivalent of National Security Council. And these guys, I guess, form the core of it.
These guys are supposedly still alive?
Well, for the moment, yes. These folks happen to still be alive, yes. So I don't know where they were on Saturday night when we dropped those bunker buster bombs in that IRGC facility in Tehran. But apparently these guys survived somehow. So so here's the thing. Great. They think they're the leaders, but as a sign that the government is still kind of broken into little pieces, is the confusion that came out over Iran's response to President Trump saying, yes, we've agreed to a 2-week ceasefire.
Right.
So they said nothing, as far as I know, about the Strait of Hormuz. But what happened was there was a 10-point peace proposal from them.
Correct.
And they were lying and saying that we had agreed to this, and that's just not true.
Right.
Okay, but minutes later, some other part of the Iranian government puts out a 15-point peace plan that we supposedly agreed to that had none of the stuff that was in the 10-point plan.
Interesting. So we have 25 different points.
What it comes down to, but they're not.
How do you come up with that many?
Okay, it's the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Is
the
problem here. All right. So the take-home message is, if they're going to have part of taking advantage of this 2-week ceasefire is to get their communications act together. They're going to need the Iranian equivalent of Carolyn Levitt as a press secretary.
There could be at this point, there could be 2 or 3 or 4 different competing little groups of people trying to put something together,
Could be.
including the old mullahs and new things too. Who knows what's going on? And
Right.
this whole 2-week ceasefire thing is
It's problematic, yes, because
extremely problematic.
Yes, well, it cuts both ways. Okay, there are clear advantages for the Iranians to have this 2-week ceasefire. Just half of the things I just rattled off here. Okay, they have to get their communications act together.
Yeah,
okay?
where's our advantage to this?
We've had them on their heels, and they have not been communicating. Now
they
now they can get their communication lines straightened out. And then
how does this help both ways?
Well, it helps. We know who to hit.
Oh, while they reconstitute, we can watch them.
Yes. Okay. That improves our target identification efforts.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right. So it cuts, in that sense, it cuts both ways. And then, I mean, there has to be, it's got to be hierarchical. So what's the organization? Who's at the top? Who's supporting the top? Who's at the next level down and helping out with the rest? Where are they? Who are they? All right. They don't know. Right now, they don't know. Okay. So they need time, 2 weeks, to
we're going to betray the people of Iran.
Well, I don't know about that.
I hope not. That's what matters to me right now. I mean, obviously, America is what matters to me first. But if the whole outcome of this does not result in a new government in Iran that's more benevolent, that's not attached to a religious order to kill the United States, that's the objective of this war, in my opinion, and the only one.
All right. So
if that's not met, then
the next 2 weeks are going to be the spotlight shifts to the political solutions for Iran. All right. It's going to shift away from the military solutions. And by the way, guess what? We need time to restock our ammunition.
Okay? Probably.
And, you know, the other part is there's still a lot of intelligence to gather on all these damn targets that we hit. How did we do? I don't think we can rate all of them in terms of how well we did. So that's a problem. Okay. Then the other problem is, so mind you, and they know this, we've got satellites, we've got all kinds of listening devices and surveillance technology covering as much of Iran as we can. All right. And that information is going to be telling us a lot about how they communicate, what names emerge or float to the top, what they see as their priorities in order to get their act together. Okay. So with this,
we also heard a story that they've been shooting citizens again over there too. So what's going on with that?
Yeah,
they're still able to police that apparently.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. Okay, I think one of the big things. So we've talked about the supply lines that have been feeding the Iranians, through Tajikistan and other places. So you're going to have all of that cranking up. Mm-hmm. And the other problem is, after all the damage has been done, they have no more of an idea than we do about how many of which weapon systems are still functional in any capacity. Mm-hmm. They don't even know how many bullets they have. Okay? So these are all, quote, problems. Now, the thing that really surprises me is that we had a new public address from Prince Pahlavi. Okay. But would you like to guess as to who he was talking to? Hint, it was not the Iranian people.
Who was he talking to? The mullahs?
Artesh.
Okay.
All right. So then somebody
tell everybody who this prince is. Okay, so no, he's the Prince of Saudi Arabia, correct?
No.
Who is this guy, Prince? Whatever. Let's get that straight.
You don't know who Pahlavi is.
Who is Prince Pahlavi? For the listeners.
The son of the Shah.
Okay.
He's been in the news.
Yep.
All right. So, some people expect him to be the one who will lead the regime change. Others look on and say he doesn't have what it takes to do it. It's a discussion. Mm-hmm. The point is, so he gets on TV and makes this address, and it's directed at the Artesh army. And somebody had mentioned, you know what? We haven't touched the Artesh army. All our attacks and everything has been after the IRGC, but somehow we haven't gone after the army. I'm confused.
Well, maybe that's because they're not religiously devout so much. And
How can you hit?
we just talked yesterday about how maybe the majority of them don't like the mullahs. So maybe that could be used to the actual Artesh could be. We can align ourselves with some factions of that and help with the. To me, there's possibilities there.
It's been a month. I expect something would come of this in terms of what Artesh would do, and nothing has come of it.
But no news is good news sometimes.
Yeah, I guess. But this is okay. So the other part here is, so we hit 13,000 or more targets, and somehow none of those targets that we hit involved the Iranian army.
I would doubt that it's none of them, but maybe we haven't been targeting them specifically for that reason. The same reason we just talked about.
There's something about this part that for which I need a better.
Maybe we need the Artesh to help take that to help with the in the rebellion.
Yes, we do. That's a given.
Not too many.
Okay, but I have this simplistic notion in my mind that we're supposed to be. If you're an Iranian and you love your country, then you're going to defend your country against all enemies.
If I'm a secular Persian Iranian and I'm a member of the Artesh, and then I see what happens in 1979, I personally, as a secular guy in Iran, would be appalled and hate the mullahs. And then even if 50 years later, 45 years later, I wouldn't look at the United States as an enemy.
Okay, you still have something called lines of authority.
Correct.
And how the people who make up Artesh report to each other and make decisions together may stand outside the IRGC, but there would have to, in my mind, there would have to be something that says the Artesh army is working independently. I do not see that yet.
No, it's. I'm sure the top brass of the Artesh are probably answering to IRGC commanders.
I would think.
But we don't know how intact that line of authority is at this point, though, 6 weeks into the war.
Well,
and I would imagine still, like we talked about last week, that even the officers in the Artesh probably have a lot of animosity, or they have a lot of distrust for one another that goes back to the beginning. So,
all right. Well, on this point, I would expect to see more evidence of defections, of refusal to cooperate, of acts of what look like defiance or rebellion, and we haven't seen it. Now, supposedly there are other reports, even maybe, that the Kurds have been fighting, but again, it's such limited information. Anyway,
we should get more satellites over there so people can see what's going on.
Oh, I'm sure we have quite a few satellites on the situation right now.
Our government does, but what about the private
24/7 coverage?
Private sector, though.
Okay, so in the meantime, the Houthis. Okay, so they almost are treated as the IRGC's ace up the sleeve, which I tend to disagree. But now the Houthis have fired another missile at Israel. Okay, and this is the thing. Here it's supposed to be the ceasefire, and Iran turned around and started attacking Israel. The Houthis are attacking Israel. Then there's a report of another attack on UAE, and possibly some other countries are getting attacked as well.
This is all since the 2-week ceasefire is supposed to have started?
Yeah, that's right.
So then Trump's not going to, we're not going to tolerate that.
Yeah. So this is, yeah.
We're supposed to stand down. They're going to keep shooting at us. I don't think that'll last 2 weeks.
No.
I'd be surprised if that lasts 2 days.
All right. So, so let me, at this point, and then we'll get to the big one here. And then on Tausi TV, they had video clips showing these human chains around the power plants.
Yeah, I heard about that.
What'd you hear?
I heard that they're putting they're putting human children holding hands around the power plants.
Terrible turnout. And it turns out that those people who are, so from the video clips, you can see maybe 100 people standing by a power plant, but there's certainly not enough to encircle the power plant. and they're standing there holding Iranian flags. But it turns out the people who are in the crowd, they're relatives of IRGC members.
Aha, so they're not citizens. Well, they're not rank and file citizens anyway.
Right. So this
well, if they're standing on the north end, we hit it from the south.
What?
If they're standing on the north end of the building, we just hit them on the south.
Yeah, however it works out. I mean,
or if they're IRGC if they're IRGC family members, how stupid is that, man? You're putting your own family members out there now. All these people are.
What are you gonna do if you can't get anybody to come out?
I wouldn't put my wife out in front of the building. That's what I wouldn't do.
They got to be
twisted.
Okay, well, okay, they believe it's for show. They're confident that the Americans aren't going to come along and launch an attack.
Oh, we will.
Yeah, but this is the kind of stuff where you begin to wonder just about what kind of capabilities the IRG really has when it comes to propaganda and publicity and communications. If you can't even get enough people from your own family to come out,
I don't think Melissa would agree to go hang out in front of the building that's about to get bombed for me or anybody else.
You sure? You want to check with her on that?
I don't think I need to. I think I know the answer.
Yes. So those are some of the big items.
I'm surprised they got as many people as they. Actually, that's a lot of. Quite frankly, that's a lot of devotion for a grandma and grandpa and aunt and uncle and cousin Ray and Tony and to come out and do that. It's pretty damn dedicated shit, in my opinion.
Okay, when you recognize that the number of people who make up the top management of the IRGC is on the order of 10,000 people.
Yeah, so
and all you see out there is maybe 100.
The rest of them are like, "Screw you! I'm not doing that," or they're dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
in other words, it's time to clean house in Iran and get this over with.
Well, clean house. It's almost like a boxing match. The bell is rung, and now the boxers go to their respective corners, and we're judging how the punches were thrown and who took the most hits and who's doing better and who's doing worse, right? So, and then the bell will ring again, and it's time to come back. I
understand how it works both ways. I still don't like it. I think we should just finish them off and be done with this and have it over by the end of the summer. Just. I
wish it were that simple.
Well, they're dragging it on.
It were that simple. Okay, so we have another report, right? Supposedly that Karg Island has been heavily bombed.
Mm-hmm.
But what's not clear yet is whether or not they've really knocked out their oil processing capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the mere act of taking out those pipelines that they use to pump oil would be enough to cause a lot of problems.
And apparently, not problems just for Iran, but for a lot of Middle Eastern countries, actually.
As one person pointed out, though, ships have been finding their way through the Strait of Hormuz. However, we're reaching a point where the amount of oil was, how do we put this? There's a lag time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
From the moment the oil is pumped into a tanker to the time that it arrives at its destination port can be a couple weeks or longer.
Sure.
All right. So for any given economy that runs on oil to keep going, they depend on a steady stream of these ships delivering oil day after day.
Correct.
If they stop delivering the oil, now you got a problem.
Yeah, we understand this. I mean, it's kind of the whole idea why there's a problem with the closing of the strait.
All right. So one of the countries that's going to be hit pretty hard pretty soon, because as of now, in effect, the last ship left, as far as the steady stream is concerned, will be China. All right.
Okay.
And the other part, which I still didn't understand, was this other sanction provision that Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, talked about, was where oil that's supposed to go to India, was supposed to go to China, was going to be delivered to India instead.
Okay.
Do you remember this?
Faintly, yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's oil not making its way to China. It's going to India. All right, so at some point,
China's going to have a shortage.
they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do. I mean, there are, I'm sure, some places where China is going to switch over more to producing energy with coal than with oil, but those things take time as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just being given a heads up that, even as this ceasefire is starting, the shipments are ending in terms of the regular deliveries to these other countries.
I'm assuming this ceasefire agreement is including the reopening of the strait, correct?
Very much so. So again, I mean, you had the Iranians not saying much, and the problem becomes, let's put it this way: you could find a weird situation where the Iranians say nothing about the freedom of passage through the Strait of Hormuz for oil ships, but it happens anyway. Or you could have them making all kinds of noise, but they let the ships through. And so you're going to be sitting there wondering, well, what's reality? This will be especially troubling for the shipping insurance companies like Lloyd's of London and others.
Well, a ceasefire agreement would involve the Iranian announcing publicly they've opened the Strait of Hormuz. That's not one of the points, though, is it?
Well, you see, not necessarily. This is all this game playing that goes on would extend to this very thing, all right, as to whether or not they may state in clear, explicit, unquestionable terms every single ship that has business in the Strait of Hormuz will be able to pass through freely without anything from us. Right now, they're demanding a toll, right? $2 million per ship. But that money is not to be paid in dollars, it's to be paid in Chinese yuan. Yeah, so that's going to have to end as well.
You better believe it.
But there you go. So, where do I see this all going? I really feel that President Trump is very reluctant to launch these attacks, and I mean reluctant. He's not. I don't think he's sharing with us just how reluctant he is.
You mean the attacks on the power grid? You mean?
And the bridges.
And the bridges, yeah.
Right? It is already causing a bitter taste in his mouth, as far as I'm concerned. So,
in other words, what you're saying is, although Trump has taken it further than any other president has, at the end of the day, he's going to let them all survive because he just doesn't have the balls like any of the other presidents don't.
No, I think he has the balls, but he's just he's looking for any sign of goodwill from the other side. All right, because the level
goodwill from death to America mullahs, you mean?
That's correct.
Well, then Trump is not thinking realistically.
Well, see, but it depends. All right.
No, it doesn't. So, when you have religious theology, people don't.
I'm going to say let's reserve this part of the conversation for 2 weeks from now, because in the interim, a lot of things could start to happen in the street.
I hope so.
The Artesh Army hasn't done anything. Maybe all of a sudden the Artesh Army could wake up, and the rules of the game might change. All right. We just don't know. I mean, these guys here that I've got up here, these are all IRGC guys.
Well, yeah, I just thought of something really cool, actually. This 2-week ceasefire could be a secret attempt by the military to without the threat of bombs, to get a true resistance going on Iran.
Say that again?
To foment and facilitate an organized resistance, democratic resistance in Iran now without the threat of bombs. So in other words, that could be the other edge of the sword that's in our favor.
Well, or threat of action by the IRGC, but we'll see. I fully expect there to be all kinds of violations everywhere. So one of the things you get a sense of is no sooner was did this announcement come out than you had them firing missiles at Israel, because guess what? Israel's not a part of the deal. The Houthis firing missiles at Israel. Well, guess what? The Houthis are not a part of the deal. Okay. In the meantime, Israel's saying, well, Hezbollah is not a part of this deal because we're going to keep attacking them. So this whole idea of
this 2 weeks is just going to let them catch up as much as they can, and we're not going to be doing any violations.
Everybody. So yeah, it is said that the real meaning of the word treaty is "I'll get you later."
Yeah, exactly. So this really sucks, honestly.
Yeah, well,
I understand our side of it, how it helps us, but I just hope that's how the president and our military are thinking of it in terms of military strategy. Not just, look, I'm not a warmonger, but I know a just war when I see one, and this one better be finished the right way.
Yeah, well, it is. I think we can appreciate that you got, again, I mean, just start with the big one, okay? I was just going to mention all the different complexities that make up Iranian society, but let's start with the big one. IRGC versus Artesh, okay? We haven't had the versus argument yet, but will it happen? If I go back again, I remind you, Prince Pahlavi, son of the Shah, addressing Artesh and saying, you've got to step up and act for your country. So that's just a nice way of saying it's up to you to go after the IRGC. And by the way, remember we looked at that chart. There's
400,000 versus 300,000, I think it was.
It was 67% versus 24%. So almost 3 to 1.
More than 2 to 1.
Yeah, Artesh outnumbers the IRGC almost 3 to 1.
Go, boy. Go for it, boys. So maybe we should go there and help them tactically a little bit.
Yeah, well, you know, shh, quiet. Don't tell anybody the CIA is already there, okay? Shh.
Everybody delete this. Turn it off now.
Yes. And there's that whole thing. Remember, I talked about the spook war. This next 2 weeks might also be thought of as the spook war phase. There may not be a whole lot of firing going on, but there's a whole lot of sneaking around going on.
Well, I'm sure. I hope that we're sneaking around with it as well.
Yeah.
Good.
With the same.
I can accept it under those terms, but I just worry that if I see some kind of a peace treaty with the current regime, that would be, to me, a loss.
Right. Well, this is not a peace treaty, right? This is your so-called ceasefire, which you might as well call a treaty.
They did these in Korea. They used to do these in the Korean War every now and then, too, and it's for the reasons you're talking about, reconstitute, figure things out.
Yes. Yeah, well, and again, I reiterate, which brings me back to the couple of the earlier points. We don't really know exactly how much damage we've caused. We have an idea, and we like to throw these big numbers around. And but at the same time, the Iranians know that they've been damaged a lot, but they don't know to what extent. Okay, so you got both sides sort of in this haze, not knowing what they have to work with or what we've really destroyed. Okay,
well, so I know, but the modern technology we have with GPS and whatnot, I mean, you must know a lot.
That's the whole point. That's the point I was going to make, is that we can follow what these guys are doing on the ground, and it's being done in the context of rebuilding themselves. So if we see a lot of activity around one spot, for example, and then we're going, oh, wait, that wasn't on our hit list.
That's a good one.
Okay, yeah, but now we got one. We didn't see it before, but we see it now.
Makes sense.
Okay, see, it's going to be things like that in terms of what how the America is going to benefit from this, as far as I'm concerned. And those are the obvious things. Okay, there's this piece I didn't read. Apparently, there's technology that is so sensitive it can hear your heartbeat, let's say hundreds of yards away.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
That's kind of scary.
So if you put that kind of technology, if you got some CIA guys kind of snooping around and they got technology like that, you know, they can quickly figure out, oh, wait, we got like 100 heartbeats here hiding behind that rock. Like, hey, I think we found something here.
Wow. That's almost hard to believe.
Okay, but again, this kind of stuff in my mind takes time. And then they're going to want eyes on the ground. And so they got to follow what these guys are doing over time. All right. And this is going to inform our strategy if we have to get back to business. And so let's take a minute of conjecture here. This is an important conjecture. Let's assume that they open the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay.
Okay.
Should be open right now if that's what the.
Okay, but these schlubs are still in control. Okay, you and I are sitting here saying we don't like this one damn bit. These are hardliners. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? They're even worse than the guys they replaced. So yeah, they got to go.
They
Right?
gotta go.
So the conversation about how they got to go is in the context of, whoa, they decided to open the Strait of Hormuz after all. Presumably, in order to hold on to power. But you and I know, sorry,
Stalling tactic.
stick around. So what is that going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, we also have to add to that equation, to what degree do these three control the country?
To what degree do these three control the country?
Yeah, to what degree do they have they may have official control of it, but what
Okay,
degree
well,
do they have actual control?
You know, when you say control over the country, it has to be put in the context of how they've had control over the country in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal, repressive, tyrannical, okay?
I'm talking about logistically, though, with all these things having been destroyed
Well,
around.
you say logistically, the point is that they had troops who would go out and attack people, kill people, all right?
Yeah.
Imprison people. That's your logistics right there as far as they're concerned.
But again, we don't know how many of these IRGCs have been killed. We don't know how many prisons have been destroyed. We don't know,
right?
What their capacity is to continue that type of oppressive.
All right, and I would like to believe that we're going to get a pretty good idea over the next 2 weeks.
That's okay. I understand that.
Okay, obviously they're not going to.
Hopefully, when you mean our military. Like we shouldn't know. Right. You and I shouldn't know.
Well, some people will be nice enough to share a few things with us, and we're sitting here conjecturing. You know, our conjecture is in some ways no different from spying, because we're trying to get answers just like some spies would try to get answers.
Mm-hmm.
So don't tell us, guys. We'll have to just sit here and try and figure it out for ourselves.
That's right. We don't want to hear the secrets.
Okay, but I think the person who has really, I think, floated to the top in this whole thing as your go-to guy is the guy who runs Tausi TV.
You got a picture of him?
Do I have a picture of him?
Yeah.
It would take me a minute to put it together. Well,
no, that's right. He runs Iranian TV.
It's called Tausi TV, Tousi. So it turns out that he's a Christian Iranian.
But is Tausi TV Iranian TV though? That's government Iranian TV.
No, Iranian. No, that's different. No, Tausi TV is his own little thing. He has 1.5 million subscribers. So he's doing pretty good.
Okay.
And I think he's based in England.
Okay, he's not. Okay,
but his father is living in Tehran. He's, over the years, he's cultivated sources. So all these people are feeding him information where they can. And it's, people who are not telling Fox, they're not telling MSN Now, they're not telling any of these people. They're telling their buddy at Tausi because he's their buddy.
Right. And these are probably regular people living day to day on the streets of Iran, too.
Right. Okay. So, in a sense, he is very competitive with the CIA and Mossad, all right? They are collecting information and keeping it secret. He's collecting information and making it public.
That's right.
Okay, but
what's the difference between being a private investigator and a newspaper reporter is?
I guess, yeah.
Otherwise, the job's pretty much the same.
But no, he's done. I really am astonished at how quickly he's able to put stuff out. I mean, he's turning stuff around on almost an hourly basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you constantly updating the news on an hourly basis.
Hopefully we'll get there.
It's not that easy to do.
No. Okay. We can do it in Connecticut, though. For our state, we can do that. For our pathologically, diabolically run state, we can do it.
Pathologically run. That's a good one. Yeah. So on that note, what was the point I wanted to make? So let's just talk about this, and here the audience gets to eavesdrop. Can we post All right. So here with the StreamYard platform, all right, we've got YouTube and Facebook going at the same time,
Correct.
simultaneously. Okay. Not that it's done anything for ratings, but
Not yet.
yes,
Patience, my friend.
Yes, I will do my best to be patient, even though I'm frustrated. The point is that there are all these other platforms out there. Okay, Take Back Connecticut, Conservatives for Connecticut.
Yeah, you know what? I've reached out to
Dr. Laura.
This last weekend, I reached out to I found 5 of those groups on Facebook.
Yep.
That had I thought the biggest following, and I found who the moderator, the administrator of that was.
Yes.
And I friended that person and then sent them a message.
Yes.
And told them that I had built me and Selena and I had built profiles that were working documents meant to unite all these different groups, and so we can all understand what each other is doing, so we can coordinate efforts and form one huge group. I have not yet heard from any of the 5. It was Saturday, I think Saturday morning when I did it.
Okay, well, what I'm thinking more in terms of you're expecting these people to think outside their box, and I'm sorry, even conservatives can have trouble thinking outside the box.
You would think that if you founded a whole movement like we did, that you would be thinking isn't that thinking outside the box to begin with? I would think
it is, but right now their box is being administrators for these Facebook pages.
Right, and we're never going to flip Connecticut red for true unless we all work together.
All right. So towards that, what I'm trying to say is, if there's a way to post what we're doing on all these other Facebook pages, that can build the audience.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay.
Right, by joining all these groups and then posting these tasks to these groups.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right. Well, so and it gets into the other.
So here's the thing that's going to really change it over the next few weeks.
Yes.
One is the money I'm going to spend on equipment and to make things look more professional. Number 1. 2 will be what you just mentioned, more networking on the social. It'll be the hiring of a audiovisual monetization specialist that'll be their job to do all these things for me. And of course I'll be working with them, but
an audio visual.
Yes, and the fundraising people that you sent me, we're going to talk to them as well. That's the third thing.
Well, Anodot. I mean, all Anodot. So you have to pick a bank. Hopefully,
I already picked my bank.
What?
I already picked it.
All right. Which bank is that?
American Eagle.
Which one?
American Eagle Federal Credit Union.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't think that all the banks are equally capable, but in this case, if they are, the point is that the bank has to be able to take a link from Anodot. Okay. And or it's a set of code, may not just be a link, but a set of code, which will connect the bank account in the bank
with the fundraising account.
Right. Okay. So Anodot is specially set up for this. So if anybody should be able to do it expeditiously, they should. All right. So
these things all have to come together. And all I'm waiting for is the letter from the IRS.
Yeah.
Because I can't open a bank account without it. And that will be here any day.
What, did they promise you?
Yeah, they told me 10 to 15 business days. It has been 7, so there are 3 to 8 left. And I feel pretty confident it's going to be here.
All right.
The IRS, we may hate them, but they do say what they're going to do ultimately, usually. So.
All right. So anyway, I just have to follow up on your comment here. I just can't resist, but I'm trying here. You know, I'm going to have to do it the famous other way here.
Okay.
I love this. This is audio visual
is a better word.
Monetization specialist.
What is that again?
It's your phrase. You used it.
Audio visual monetization. So it should be audio visual, social media monetization specialist. These are things I know how to do. I could teach myself how to do, but that would take everything a lot longer. So
there are 1,000.
I need to learn what I don't.
Okay, there's 1,832 audiovisual specialist jobs in the United States, according to Glassdoor.com.
You know where I'm going to find ours? Eastern Connecticut State University.
No.
Yeah. I'm coming to you, Eastern.
Here, let's just take the audiovisual part out of that and just go with monetization.
Social media. Well, it's really more the monetization part. I mean, it's really more about the computer geek side of it.
Well,
it's social media technician.
Yeah. All right. It's called not so
good way to put it.
All right. So
we're gonna have covered with that company there. We're gonna have covered with them.
Okay. So I'm just gonna rattle some off here for you. This is from Indeed.com. So a monetization strategy specialist, $97,000 a year. An ad monetization specialist, $3,300 a month.
No, we got to pay. Okay, that's a little better. We got to pay a college kid on a commission basis is what we're going to do.
Okay, you say this, but you have to have somebody who knows what they're doing.
I know. That's what we're doing.
College kid isn't going to know about this stuff.
Young people are the best when it comes to internet technology and things like that.
Okay, but I think monetization is a specialty.
I agree. Well, it's something that, like Facebook has a thing you can go onto it and I could walk myself through it and do it through Facebook.
Right.
But I want to do it through a stream for all, I want it to all work together. That's the thing. And that's where I need help.
Yes, we all like that kind of thing to be happening.
You disappeared. That was wild.
Well, I'll mention something totally different. You ready?
I'm ready.
Linda Sinkowitz, okay?
Yeah.
She put together an app for the purpose of reporting any violations of election rules.
Okay, cool.
She got overwhelmed.
Where do these reports just go to her, though? Where do they ultimately go?
Well, then for her, the idea was to submit these reports then to either the State Elections Enforcement Commission or to the FBI, whoever's appropriate. That would be the idea. Now, so I listened to this and I thought, how about if you took the same model and instead of reporting violation of election rules, report what should I say? Violations committed by legislators. What they did is unconstitutional. They've been arguing for this thing. It's ridiculous nonsense, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And to put that onto some platform such that we're able to push it out to any number of people every time one of these things comes up.
It sounds interesting to me, and we could do another. I just thought of another one that could be done for reports of fraud and waste of state taxpayer money. There can be reported as well.
Okay, misspending of money, yes.
We're working hard on that.
There's so many elements of wrongdoing. I remember Rob Sampson had just sat there and just basically complaining to himself, pointing out that there are too many examples. There are more examples of corruption than he can mention. There's so much of it that goes on in the Connecticut legislature.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the part I'm trying to wrap my head around here is there was an American Thinker article talking about how liberals remain uncomfortable with the white working class. So white middle class people, liberals feel uncomfortable with.
They think we're racist or whatnot.
Yeah, whatever the problem is.
Whatever it is, make too much money, whatever.
Okay. But here's the problem. At least in Connecticut, who holds the Democrat Party up? The unions.
Yes, they do.
Okay, the unions run the state. Newsflash. Who would be the most common ethnic type in the unions? White. white middle class,
White Italians.
white Italians. So here you got these white guys who make up the bulk of these unions that are holding up the Democrat Party, yet the liberals feel uncomfortable with these people who are keeping them in business.
That's a little bit of an oxymoron there, isn't it?
It is. Okay. So it's.
How do we expose this oxymoron?
Sorry?
The thing, we always talk about how can we expose this or expose that to the people.
Yeah.
But let's say we do succeed in exposing it to the people. Then who are these people?
Right. Well, it comes
what
back
can
to,
they do? Really, nothing. I mean, it's them. It's our liberal enemies that run the state. So
okay. Well, yes. So again,
massive voter fraud reform and massive voter outturn is really the two things we need. Massive.
mhm. Correct. So anyway, so let's see here. It's let me think now. This is Tuesday
We got
night.
about 5 minutes left.
Yeah, Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
And so it's going to be interesting to see what the next 24 hours bring with respect to Iran.
Tomorrow night we're gonna be at the Coventry RTC, by the way.
Okay.
Right here in Coventry.
Will you be on the lookout for delegates?
Yes, I will. Apparently all three gubernatorial candidates will be there.
Right.
Meaning Republican Aaron Fazio and
Right. So
Betsy will be there. And I might look to join the RTC in Coventry as well.
right.
Not that I can do it tomorrow night, but I'm gonna look to start making the inroads toward that.
All right. So here you go. Just a couple of headlines. Iran to charge fees on the Hormuz ships during the ceasefire. And Iran is already acting shady. Ayatollah orders all military units to stop launching missiles. Right. So here's I'm not going to waste our time with the official statement from Iran. We know that that's,
Well,
yeah. But this one here, already acting shady. Oh, really? So this is crazy. All right. So the headline says Iran includes enrichment in Farsi ceasefire plan. You got to be kidding me.
we're gonna let them enrich now?
No, that's what they expect to be able to do.
Oh.
Okay, if these are the demands that you're going to make, sorry, we're going back to plan A. Yeah, I just wow. So I don't know. It could. Hey, just a thought. If they act outrageously enough, okay, all deals are off.
Yeah, and I still can understand why we can't get a handle on an area around the Strait of Hormuz that is again about the size of Connecticut. So that still boggles my mind. That the world as a whole can't handle that area.
Well, it's again, the point I want to make is that Iran has spent decades, okay? They spent decades planning on being able to do this.
I understand.
All right. So they've explored the contingencies. They know how they need to position themselves.
Sure.
Et cetera.
Again, it's not a very huge area. So
yeah. So one other general point to make about this is that you have the large and you have the small. America has been beating its chest because they've been able to beat up Iran in a, quote, large way by hitting all these sites, destroying all this equipment, etc. All right. So let's try it this way. They've been able to destroy weapon systems, but they haven't been able to destroy the ammunition.
mm-hmm.
That's not quite correct, but that's the way I would put it, is that there are all these smaller scale things that make up a part of what the Iranian military can do. And we can't make the same claims at that scale as we can with the large scale stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe the next 2 weeks is about dealing with this other stuff. I'm not quite sure what that looks like, but it's, you have these headlines that I just read you already. I can't believe it.
Well, I'm sure. Remember, now we're using deception too. So
Yeah.
Lose interception here.
All right. So, but you're left, so you're left with this thing. There's this ebb and flow, this back and forth, and you can't quite tell who's got the advantage at any particular moment.
Which is probably, I think we've got the advantage, but with that, I think I'm ready to wrap it up for tonight. How about you?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Get this ugly guy off the screen. Get this ugly dude out of here.
All right. There you go.
All right. So it's been a good show. I'm glad everybody joined us tonight. We're gonna be back tomorrow night, right? About 9:15 or so. You good for that?
Right. Yeah.
So once again, everybody, I hope you enjoyed it. We're gonna get in depth. It's gonna get better and better. So stick with us. Tell your friends. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to Core over at Yankee T News and here at Common Sense News and Entertainment. Good night, everybody.
All right, and good night to my crew too. Look at this. 2 guys showed up just at the last minute.
Oh, sorry, guys.
So to whoever showed up, who showed up? Oh, Zone, you need to stop using hashtags as the title. All right, Eric will explain it to me later.
That's everybody on live on Facebook.
Stop using hashtags as the title.
All right. Entertainment.
I'm trying to reach out to the audience.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, so later. All right, here we go. And a 1.